let's think about the other kinds of things that had to go right in my life for me to land on Jeopardy. I was lucky enough to, as you heard, grow up overseas. I had two very bright parents. My mom was a librarian. She read to us every night religiously. My dad was just an attorney and a kind of a super brilliant guy who would always come home from work and do the jumble and the crossword in the paper with us. Do you guys remember the jumble? So I'm really good at anagrams. And through no skill of my own, just my dad coming home and doing the jumble with us in the Seattle Times when I was 5 years old. So if you imagine some other version of me whose dad comes home and does the bridge column, I'm not that good at wordplay. Or somebody else's dad who has worked 2 jobs and is tired and just wants to sit down in front of the TV. Luckily, I had a dad who made us watch Tic-Tac-Toe, and I became a game show nerd. We moved overseas when I was a kid, and that got me interested in a lot of other cultures. It's more interesting and easier to learn a fact when you have something firsthand to relate it to. So suddenly it became easier to learn about international stuff because I had experience visiting a lot of these places. It also made me super interested in geography, especially American geography, because I was not living in my home country. So I would pore through US road atlases, taking imaginary road trips. When I went to college, I was lucky enough to, I got a merit-based scholarship, I guess. Merit, but what does that mean? It means I was good at taking a test. And, so I had some leeway to kind of just take classes and stuff that interested me, whether is this history of jazz class going to be good for my major? What about this French and Italian film? I could kind of feel my way toward an English major and then realize at the last moment, this is a terrible idea. I should probably add computer science as well. And I had parents who could bail me out on tuition. So you can kind of see where I'm going with this, I think. Like, this is the kind of thing that people call privilege. And I hope that doesn't turn you off for any ideological reasons, because I'm speaking of a very specific kind of Jeopardy privilege. I grew up in a way that I had an educational advantage where all these things were super easy for me, and I never had to think about it, because that's a definition of privilege. And people kind of rankle at that. They don't like to, well, of course, not everything went my way. I have plenty of problems too. Yes, that's true of all of us. But in general, in the main, some people have it easier than others for reasons that they don't care to examine. And that's exactly what happened with me. So, when you see me on Jeopardy, you're seeing a person that's gotten created by, first of all, you're seeing all the luck and the math I talked to earlier, creating the 74-game streak. And you're also seeing a person that's been created by a very fortunate upbringing that not everybody gets. So do you see where I'm going with this? Like, we now live in a society where that kind of outcome is becoming more and more limited. Tuition is up. Student loan is crippling a generation of people. The kind of free-form educational experience I had is less and less affordable, less and less available to the American middle class. And it's more than that. An extremely successful kind of person wants you to think that they had it coming to them, that they deserve everything they got, that they've been successful in life, and it's because, of course my net worth is this, it's just because of how good I am. And if you do the math, that's not true.